So this video is about unapproved structures and renovations and how this impacts settlement. If you suspect the property you're buying may not have the required approvals, you need to have your conveyancer take care of this for you before you sign the contract. You can stipulate in your offer that the settlement is contingent upon all improvements to and structures on the property being council approved. Make sure your conveyancer words this for you. In today's market, it's likely that it's going to make your offer less attractive though, but it is an important decision that you need to make. And we can talk about why it's important to have any structures, improvements, renovations certified on your property. So what can you do if there are unapproved structures? What if you discover the unapproved structures after signing the contract? Can you still walk away? What should your next steps be? Discovering unapproved structures in a home you're about to buy can be a complex issue, and the steps you take depend largely on whether the seller was aware of those unauthorised additions. So let your conveyancer take care of it. So the seller might have just assumed that, they might have bought the house 14 years ago and they bought it from somebody who put on a carport and nobody ever asked for the certifications of that. And so nobody actually knows if it's been approved because they've got no records. Leave it to your conveyance to find out and go and ask the council for that information for you. What if the seller was unaware? Okay, so in cases where the seller was not aware of the unapproved nature of the structure, the sale typically proceeds to settlement with no one raising the issue. However, once you, as the buyer, become aware of an unapproved structure, you should address this issue. This often involves seeking retrospective approval from the council. However, if the structure is deemed unsafe or poses a risk, you may be required to rectify it or remove it, which can be costly. And if the seller did know, well, that changes the situation significantly. So if they were aware that the structure was unapproved before closing the sale but chose not to disclose the information, the sale contract still proceeds to settlement. However, post-settlement, you may have grounds to take legal action against the seller for failing to disclose this crucial information, and you could potentially recover any damages incurred. It's a costly exercise, and a buyer is in a much better position by having suitable contract conditions. This is why you need to have your conveyancer all over it. Okay. Very important. And now this takes us to title insurance. Title insurance is a relatively new product in Australia. Actually, I'm going to make a separate video about it because it's new. So let's do that.